It is ridiculous and it is against the laws of nature that we can have somebody sitting pretty who takes home more money than the credible entrepreneur who is doing actual production of goods and services.
We always say it as it is.
It is only in this country that when a thief is arrested, you hear elders from their tribe saying, he is our son and he is our thief.
If you are deviant
Yes.
and I call you leader, probably you are already a leader, but you are leading in the wrong direction.
We want to see the role of the youth
Yeah.
in the security,
Yes.
governance,
Yes.
and development.
The youth that I meet and work with here, you know, we call them the millennials and X's and Y's, this and that. They don't necessarily want to live like their fathers and grandfathers, do business like their fathers and grandfathers. They're more independent, they're better educated, and they're the ones that are making everything move in this region.
We look at the issues, we talk about issues that impact people's lives in Africa.
The African peoples themselves continue to cheer bad leaders, and because they cheer them on, they continue to be misled.
Let me ask you, doctor, would you rather be somebody who does not enjoy so much freedom but you are rich?
Yes.
Or you'd rather be poor who you are actually imprisoned by the poverty itself?
My goal is not to come here and say, I want the majority ownership, I want to own this, I want to own that, I want to do this. My goal is we all make money and we're all happy, and I help build a big business here.
Punchline is for Africa, with Africa, from Africa.
The government of Kenya is keen on the development of social economic infrastructure to support the realization of the Big Four agenda and Vision 2030. The ambitious infrastructure projects are aimed at opening up the country for business and bolster productivity, particularly in the agricultural, manufacturing and the service industry, as this would bolster employment opportunities. Part of these critical infrastructure projects include the ongoing 27-kilometer expressway linking Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and Nairobi's Westlands. Upon completion, the expressway will exponentially reduce travel times within Nairobi and thus help the country save man-hours, which is being lost in the traffic jams on a daily basis. The Lake Victoria Port Modernization Project to increase cargo handling capacity of the port and to increase Kenya's bilateral and multilateral trading within the region. The expansion of healthcare facilities to facilitate fruition of the country's universal healthcare coverage under the Big Four agenda. By speeding up movement of people and goods, the government is aiming to promote trading through reduction of travel times and costs. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us this morning, a few minutes past 11 a.m. here in Nairobi. This is a Diplomatic Leaks, and today on our show we are going to look at is history repeating itself in Somalia. We know yesterday some gunfire was heard, and it is a worrying situation there. Remember, Somalia was supposed to go to its elections on the 8th of February this year, but for some reason that did not happen, and that has placed the country that is already very fragile on perhaps a path for more chaos. So that is what we shall be looking at today. Remember, African Union also made a resolution just on Thursday last week when they met. The Peace and Conflict Committee met, and they resolved that Somalia should expedite and arrange for an election as soon as possible, as per the agreement of September last year. My name is Miriam Muguta, and joining me this morning on the panel, I'm joined by Douglas Kirimi from Meru County here in Kenya. Douglas, a very good morning to you. Okay, the reception there for Douglas is not very clear. Very well, so I'll just go to Javan. Javan, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning to you, Miriam.
Very good morning to Ambassador Ghana Maina and also.
Douglas, we're having issues with your connection there. Once I think it's stable, you can come back. We apologize for that. Javan Karanja, good morning.
Good morning to you, Miriam. Good morning to our viewers wherever they are watching us from. Good morning to Ambassador Ghana Maina and the Douglas Kiremi and the rest of the panelists. Thanks for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure being on Punchline Africa TV.
Javan, it's nice to have you this morning, and we're also joined by Ambassador Ghana Maina from Chad. His morning still, I suppose. Ambassador, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning, everyone on the panel. Thank you for having me.
All right. Nice to have you this morning. And we're also joined by Dr. Joseph Nyanchama from Nairobi. Dr. Aria, very good morning to you. Very well. As Doctor works on his technology, there can be a bit of a challenge. He shall be with us.
Good morning, Miriam.
Yes.
Good morning, Miriam.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the show. So first, I think it will be a disservice if you just went straight into the topic without first looking at the headlines in the country. So I'll just read quickly through the leading newspapers this morning and the Standard newspapers. The bigwigs lining up for number 2 with a clear list of presidential candidates emerging just a year to the polls. A group of second-tier politicians is angling for the coveted running mate position. The leaders include CSS and governors who are jostling to catch the eye of serious candidates. So that is the headline on the Standard newspaper. And just up there, twice beaten, Mudavadi reveals his next move. And then we go to the Daily Nation. The main headline is India's painful corona lessons. Catastrophe. India's healthcare system has struggled to cope with a huge surge, with reports of severe oxygen and medicine shortages and patients' families pleading for help on social media. The country recorded 349,691 fresh cases and 2,767 deaths in the last 24 hours, the highest since the start of the pandemic. That is the main headline there on the Daily Nation. And just below that, BBI deadlock over creation of 70 new constituencies. The question as to whether the proposed 70 new voting areas would apply in the 2022 general election emerged as a possible legal minefield that could hit the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 should it win the approval of Kenyans. There are also concerns over the practicality of creating the new constituencies before the polls. The story is on page 6, and we shall not be able to get into that this morning, but I think this is a conversation that we shall have possibly tomorrow. And then on the Star newspaper, the main headline, Wako, I was ready to die. On February 17th, Senator Amos Wako was admitted to a city hospital for 3 weeks in ICU with COVID-19. The close brush with death turned his world upside down. So that is the main headline there. And then up somewhere there says why MP's special BBI sessions aborted. And then on the side, no reunion with Raila, Musalia and Weta announced. So that is what we have there. And we shall have that conversation perhaps later. So now let's just get into our main headline this morning. As we all know what happened yesterday there in Somalia, and gunfire erupted in Somalia's capital on Sunday between security forces loyal to government and others angry at the country's leader as tensions spiked over President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed's extended stay in power. The gunfire heard across much of the city highlighted earlier warnings that the election standoff could increase instability in the Horn of African nation. An estimated hundreds of mutinous soldiers are still in uniform took up key positions in northern Mogadishu as some residents hid. The president signed a law in mid-April extending his mandate for 2 years, stoking opposition inside Somalia and putting him on a coalition course with Western and other donors opposed to the move. I'll start with you, Ambassador Maina Ghana. What are we possibly staring at from Somalia?
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. Is showing again maybe new problems coming in Somalia because the president has signed the law in mid-April to extend his mandate for 2 years. And many of the opposition party are not happy. And what we find out that he has done it not by the consent of the people or the consent even of the National Assembly, but he did it because he's having executive power. But meanwhile, it's not a good sign because he's tried to revive again the violence going into Somalia since 1991. So I don't know what African Union decided to do for now. We don't have any report. We don't know what the UN or the international community, either they will back him up or either they will ask him to back up. We need to understand, as a non-politician, we are going to study first what make him sign this 2 years in his power. Have an authority from the country, or is the population asking about that they need him maybe for the security purpose? We don't know. That is, for instance, we are trying to find out first the real cause of the problem before we start. But we know that many people died along the line yesterday, but the Minister of Information or Defense has never come out exactly to say the number of people. Maybe for the security reason, sometimes when you are in a country before war, you can't declare the number of people died. It can raise another tension. So that is what we are expecting for now, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much. And Douglas, this is a conversation that we've been having almost here, I think, a couple of times in a week, because it has been a developing story there in Somalia since the failure to have elections on the 8th of February. And thereafter, a few weeks ago, President Farmajo extended his term by 2 years. From what we see there happening yesterday, what are we possibly staring at coming from Somalia?
Miriam, I think at this point, the people of Somalia should be worried about what is happening, and also the people of the world should be worried what is happening in Somalia, because we have a president that has refused to cede power when he's supposed to. His term has already expired. He is supposed to seek a fresh mandate from the people, but he extends the same after for 2 years. Again, what tells us after he has handed himself 2 years, he is not going to stand again in another election. So Miriam, we are standing at a very dangerous place in Somalia, and also the possibilities of more crucial and a more dangerous war emanating from the Indian Ocean country. It is very possible, because there are two functions as we speak now, which have caused the chaos as we see it in Somalia today. People are making a lot of noise, and the people have taken it up into their hands to be able now to start causing chaos, and people have lost their lives. And to this end, Mohamed Farmajo continues holding into power. He's supposed to cede the power. He's supposed to declare the election, and the people of Somalia have an opportunity to go and vote. If it is one man who is shedding blood for all these people, Miriam, why don't we do away with Mohamed Farmajo, and then we can be able to have fresh elections in Somalia for the people of Somalia to have peace. Miriam, after that years when his uncle Siande Barre was the president, Somalia has never known peace. Somalia has never known peace as it is in their country. There are places in Somalia where people are enjoying peace, but Mogadishu has never found peace that years later, Miriam. So my call and my clarion call this morning is that Mohamed Farmajo should be stopped by all means, Miriam, because every person of goodwill and every Somalian, they can see what is happening in Somalia is not to the good of the people. And to those people, my call also to those people who have been saying that Mohamed Farmajo is loved by all and Central in Somalia. Why are you killing people in Somalia for him to continue being on power, Miriam? At the end of the day, we don't need Mohamed Farmajo to continue refranchising and killing the people of Somalia the way he is doing now. The only solution that we can do now before more lives are lost, we need to take out Mohamed Farmajo, and we need to have fresh elections in that country, declared in that country, Miriam. There is no other solution that we need in Somalia in as far as the issue is concerned. Take out Mohamed Farmajo and everything will be okay in Somalia, Miriam. The civil society is crying. The people are crying. The opposition in Somalia are crying. People who are serving in Mohamed Farmajo government themselves are crying. People want an opportunity to have a country to come out and have peace that shall be able to emanate from Mogadishu and other parts of Somalia, so that the people of Somalia can live well. For that years, the people of Somalia continue suffering under the hands of people who don't like peace and who are very selfish, including Mohamed Farmajo, who has extended his term by 2 years. Okay. It is wrong for him to do that, and it is the high time we observed decency and also respected people, and also it is about time the people of Somalia are given an opportunity to have fresh elections and a new president who is not Mohamed Farmajo. Okay. I submit, Miriam.
Very well. Douglas Kirimi, thank you so much. Now, the gunfire that erupted yesterday in Somalia's capital in Mogadishu is said to be between the loyal forces. Security forces are divided, the ones that are loyal to President Farmajo and the ones that are feeling, no, you need to leave and we need another form of leadership there in the country. So what are the dangers, Dr. Nyanchama, that we are possibly staring at if the security forces of a country, like you see there in Somalia, are said to be divided?
Thank you, Miriam, and my fellow panelists. First of all, the president of Somalia needs to take note of several points. Number one, the AU Council rejected this extension. Number two, the UN Security Council rejected the extension too, and asked the parties to resume a vote based on September Agreement, which is the only deal endorsed by the federal government states. What does it mean? It means that Varimajo needs, in fact, to invoke the factors that determine a war if you want to endorse. In fact, I want to tell Varimajo on the face that there are 5 factors if you want to launch conflict or war. We call it number 1, the moral law, number 2, heaven, number 3, earth, number 4, the commander, number 5, method and discipline. Let me now just say what I mean by moral law. Moral law is that when you want to launch a war, either internally or externally, you must assess the mood of your people. If you have to succeed, then they must be wholly and exclusively be behind you. Now, when we assess what happened, there is a division. You see, there are factions. That means even external forces are against it. Even internally, the moral law is not visible because the people are divided. When we come to the commander, it means, therefore, you must be intelligent and wise to assess the situation as it is and take a decision which is safe to you and your people. So what happens now? Varimajo is on losing end. That is how I view it, Miriam. Having said all those 5 factors, you need a wise person. Varimajo needs to be wise. Either come to the sitting table and they go as per the September Agreement or the link with power. Otherwise, he will be checked. He needs to read the signs of the time. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Abdi Samad. I see you're very busy there. Nice to have you on the show this morning. Keep writing. I'll read some of those comments, and thank you for joining us now. The former Somalia President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, in a tweet, alleged that forces loyal to the president attacked his house on Sunday, adding that, I'll quote him, I've warned and I'm now repeating how dangerous it is to politicize security. Mohammed will shoulder, that is the president, will shoulder the responsibility of whatever happens as a result of this. That is a former Somalia president saying that, the government sent some forces near his home to attack him in his home. Is this likely to stroke new tensions there in Somalia? Jevan Karanja.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and my fellow panelists. And let me say that the situation that we are steering in Somalia, it is a culmination of bad leadership. It is a culmination of a leader who is so much self-centered and he can't see beyond his self-interest. It's a culmination of a dictatorial kind of a regime that is not concerned and with the voices of other people, which is not concerned with the interest or divergent views from the different quarters in the country. Therefore, all what we are seeing is agitation coming from people who are tired with this bad regime.
All right, we seem to have had a problem there coming from Jevan's side. So once Jevan is able to sort out his connection, he shall come back. The same question to you, Samuel Tawisha. Very good morning, by the way, and thank you for joining.
And they all revolve around one person. the personality of President Farmajo. If he comes up into terms with the reality, Miriam, he needs to allow the people of Somali to have their own way, to go for an election without interfering with it, and him trying to extend his term in office, Miriam. This is where he is getting it wrong. He needs to understand when to stop. You know, when you do all these things, Miriam, even a good dancer knows when to leave the stage. Therefore, a time have come for Farmajo to leave the stage, and he should not bring a lot of dramas. He should give the people of Somali a chance to elect a legitimate government, because the government that we have in place is an illegitimate one. That is why we are seeing all these kind of civil arrest. And it's also so dangerous, Miriam, when you politicize the army, when you politicize the military, Miriam. What we can be staring up to is a coup. What we be staring up is a military explosions in Mogadishu, and this will put the lives of ordinary Somalis who maybe even not care who becomes the president at risk. Therefore, he needs to come in terms and realize that using the military will accelerate will catalyze the bad things. Will take the country to a very bad downward trajectory, and it will be a mess, Miriam. Where they are, they can try to sort out. But if he continues staying in power, he is adding oil into he is adding fuel into the fire, and things will not be well. Therefore, he needs to realize that the same army can also revoke and go against him. Therefore, he needs to understand that it reaches a time when everybody becomes tired, and even to some who thinks they are loyal to him, they can also decide to change tune. And at no moment, Miriam, will not be having a country called Somalia. I know it's a country that is in fragments, but something can be done. And that will be achieved when Farmajo is not in office. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samuel Tawish. Can you hear me? A very good morning to you.
Sure. Good morning, Miriam. Thank you so much for having me on this program this morning.
Okay. So now the former president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, in a tweet alleged that the forces loyal to the president attacked his house on Sunday. And I'll just quote him. He said, "I've warned and I'm now repeating how dangerous it is to politicize security. Mohammed, that is the president now, will shoulder the responsibility of whatever happens as a result of this." What do you hear him to be saying?
Well, thank you once more, Miriam, and indeed the rest of the panel. It's been a while since I've been in the program. I think it's my greatest pleasure to join you once more to make my contribution, rather input on this program. But as you rightly put it, Miriam, I think we have warned severally on various other programs through Punchline Africa TV that President Farmajo's decision to actually force himself or continued stay in power without allowing elections to be held, as had been scheduled earlier, is likely, or rather is adversarial, and is likely going to plunge Somalia into uncharted waters. And I think that is what is evident now. It's a manifestation of what we had warned, that if President Farmajo cannot allow this election to happen, then maybe we are not going to have peace and stability in Somalia. And it should not be in the interest of President Farmajo or any other leader to instigate such kind of aggression towards maybe perceived political opposers, because again, it threatens the very fabric and the unity and stability of the people of Somalia. And that in itself cannot be a conducive environment, even at a time when there's more of uncertainty as to whether his continued stay in power, when everything has not been put into place, is actually legal or not. Remember, much as we emphasize on respect for the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, the political independence and unity of Somalia, the Somali leaders at this particular time must urgently prioritize the national interests of the people of Somalia, and perhaps immediately embark on dialogue to seek a compromise on the outstanding issues that have made it difficult for them to have this election, and perhaps also to ensure that no actions are taken that will undermine the stability of Somalia, which is critical to the maintenance of peace both locally and internationally. Because again, lack of peace in Somalia means the same to Kenya and the rest of the East Africa region, and perhaps by extension the rest of the world. So it should not be in the interest of the Somali leaders to see into it that they now want to plunge into this, this country into this kind of volatility simply because of their own egos. because again, President Farmajo should have allowed this election to take place. But I think the kind of dilly-dallying, the kind of buying time is what has brought us where we are today. And I join the people of Somalia and those other friends of goodwill of Somalia to actually denounce and reprimand what has happened in Somalia. The latest attack on the former president really is a threat to the entire security and peace in Somalia, and it's something that must be brought to an end. If at all, we must find a solution moving forward. Remember, even as we speak now, it is only the lower house that voted for the term extension of 2 years for President Farmajo, and the upper house has to endorse this ratification, without which it makes it difficult even for President Farmajo to continue serving for the next 2 years as they have actually proposed. In that respect, therefore, he needs the goodwill of not only the lawmakers, but the entire political leadership of that particular country and the goodwill of the people of Somalia, so that if at all there's reason or valid for that matter, enough for him to continue staying in power, as they put in place the structures that will enable them to have a conducive environment to conduct that election, so be it. But with the latest kind of instances that are taking place, which are presumably instigated by the sitting president himself, Farmajo, who continues to sit in power illegitimately, then there's a lot that needs to be done by the African Union and the international community, especially the United Nations Security Council. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much. And just for your information, Tawish, perhaps you're not here yesterday. We had this conversation. The African Union condemned the extension of term by Farmajo, and the United Nations Security Council also condemned that, but we were waiting for the resolution by African Union. So now that African Union has pronounced its position on this matter, I don't know what the United Nations Security Council will do moving forward. Professor Jared Onyari, the former president there, is claiming, the government of course has refused these claims, that his house was attacked on Sunday, and he's blaming President Farmajo for politicizing security. Politicizing security in a country that is already very highly insecure. What are the dangers that we are staring at perhaps in Somalia should these claims be true?
Miriam, thank you for this good question, and I want to start by quoting the former Vice President for the Republic of Kenya, Kalonzo Musyoka, when he was the Minister for Foreign Affairs. He did appeal to Muslim the Somali brothers that the world will get tired. It is high time they put their acts together and ensure they build their country. Miriam, sometimes I wonder these wonderful things we discuss here. Who consumes them? Who gets what we are who consumes them? Is there anybody who makes use of it, Miriam? Miriam Sedibare, when he was overthrown in 1991, and when the American tried to come and destabilize the countries and the Somali people worked on them, the American people as superpower withdrew from there. And they were asking, Sedibare, how did you manage to rule these people for all this long? Sedibare said, I did not rule normal people, I was ruling madmen. And what you see in Somalia are the people who are behaving like madmen. And this is where, Miriam, it became a departure between me and most of my scholars in this area of security and the stability of Somalia. Reasons being here, Miriam, we cannot keep on doing same things, the same thing. Miriam, there was a time when there was Islamic court. As much as you call them illegitimate, Miriam, they tried to bring a resemblance of peace in Somalia. I have said America, which was a superpower, failed. They had to withdraw. African Union is there, still the attacks are going on, Miriam. And Miriam, I've heard people you talk about the government of Somalia. There is no government in Somalia, Miriam. The people of Somalia do not have a right to determine who becomes the leader. It is just a few elites. Privileged elites, Miriam, who sit and say, now you can be our president, you can be our MB, you can be all this. So, Miriam, what am I trying to say? That the future of Somalia, we have seen violent Islamic insurgents in that region. In the moment when there is no factional government, Miriam, there is innovation of locusts. We have read these things, Miriam. There has been severe food shortage, Miriam. There is political change. that threaten to bring the country into increasing turmoil and conflict. This is what Barimata has done. You cannot come and just a few people are just bribed and then they extend your term. It cannot work. So from me where I sit, Miriam, more engagement is needed and conversation for the people of Somalia. They cannot come here in Kenya and they stay very busy. And something strange about Somalia, Miriam, they speak the same language. They have the same religion. They are of one tribe, Miriam, but from different clans. And when you meet them in the mosques, Miriam, they don't fight. They are worshiping. So, Miriam, the people cannot come here in Kenya, they live peacefully. They live in UK, they are peaceful. Everyone, any part of the world, they are peaceful. But Paka told Miriam, they are tormenting and causing turmoil, Miriam. And Miriam, from where I sit, 30 years, and you think that unless there is divine intervention, that there's a country, there are some beneficiaries of that, the longest coastal line of Somalia. There are some beneficiaries, Miriam. And you know who they are. So the sooner the people of Somalia, and we want to pray for them. And we should never get tired because, Miriam, they are our neighbor. You have seen someone with no government can start to provoke Kenya. Where we have hosted them, we formed the government, Miriam. We are going to fight over the boundaries of the maritime, which you have auctioned and you have taken money from foreign countries, Miriam. I want to submit by saying, Miriam, Varimata should not be given even an inch of a second to continue being in power, Miriam. And from where I sit, Miriam, when you go to threaten someone with insecurity, Miriam, when you politicize security, when you cannot guarantee security, which he doesn't even have, Miriam. Kenya and international community, Miriam, we are the one who have trained the Somali police. So we cannot train people, and Miriam, you go to use it to antagonize others. So from, we keep on talking about African Union. Is it really there, Miriam? Is really African Union there? So it is high time that there should be direct intervention from United Nations Security Council on the future of Somalia. If you are putting an hour about African Union, don't. Because IGAD, Somalia does not listen to IGAD, does not listen to African Union, Miriam, because some powers elsewhere, Qatar, Turkey, France, they are wearing this thing direct. So the sooner those characters are brought to the table, Miriam, and a serious engagement is put on the global stage for us to have an engagement, then the Somali people will continue to serve, Miriam. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Somalia plunged into chaos after the 1991 overthrow of President Siad Barre's military regime led to famine and decades of anarchy. Clan warfare. Somalia's government is officially transitional as the country still has an incomplete constitution. Negotiations had been initiated under previous governments on completing the constitution and agreeing the architecture of the country's federation, but the present government has halted. At the talks in December 1991 to 1992, the country was torn apart by clan-based warfare, and factions plundered the remnants out of the state and fought for control of rural and urban assets. Doctor, very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Is history repeating itself there in Somalia? Dr. Matanga.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miriam. Thank you very much, the panel. And thank you very much, listeners, viewers, wherever you are in the world. We have talked and talked and talked, repeated and repeated and repeated. Time has come for us and the international community, the people of Africa, the people of East Africa, the people of the region, the Great Lakes region, East African community, IGAD, to stand and reject any form of extension, harassment of the troops that were sent there under the understanding of AMISOM and under the understanding of the international community. We cannot afford to have Somalia behaving like a sick child all the time. We must stand up, contrary to what Professor is trying to say. We should not give up. We need the end result of pacification of Somalia. We cannot allow Somalia to fall in the hands of ISIS, of terrorists, of youth armed to kill, slaughter, to maim the ordinary Somali people want to live a life like any other international body, international people living in Yemen, in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, US. We have had quite a number of people. The biggest problem of Somalia is very simple. Do you know it? We have not gone to the bottom. We know the bottom, the root causes, but we have not gone to the bottom, the accelerating causes. Let me become a teacher here. Let me tell the president of Uganda and Kenya and IGAD, yes, I studied this subject to utilize it with tools of analysis. Anybody who goes to university goes for tools of analysis. You don't go to university to drink or relax or coffee or cocoa or have ladies. No! You got to gain tools of analysis. Your Excellencies, the question of Somalia, we know the root cause that led it to conflict in 1991. Now we should know the accelerating causes. Onyali is a professor of conflict resolution, a champion of the church. Onyali, between him and me, we studied the same subject called conflict resolution. Let's isolate the root causes from the accelerating causes. We have gone into Somalia, maybe without those things. That's why we are having a backfire. Things are backfiring. Why is it that Mogadishu people are being killed and the Kenya sector is peaceful? People are cooking meat, mutton, rice with the Kenyan troops. Kenyan troops are treating people in the villages. Why is it that in the sector 1 of Mogadishu, there are bombings, there are killings, and other lower areas are surrounding Mogadishu? Why? We must find those root causes.
Correct.
You must find the accelerating causes. Isolate the two. Then you have an equation called pacification. Start pacifying. After knowing the enemy, who are the enemies of Somalia? I want to stand here today, to sit here today, tell the truth. Your Excellencies, there are two people who are the biggest enemies of Somalia. One is based in Villa, Somalia. He is called, I don't want I'll reveal the name to the security agencies so that they arrest him when they see him. There is one person who used to be a co-chair, a vice chairman of Islamic courts. He is the chief advisor. And I repeat, he is the chief advisor. I have now got the intelligence. If the intelligence securities of Kenya and other countries have not got it, I've got it. And I'm going to follow this through another international channel. For us, we shall capture this bastard. People have refused to capture this bastard. This bastard is the one. This bastard is the one giving Farimajo advice. Day out, day in, they fight. Don't like Museveni, don't like Kenyan troops. I am gonna reveal that name to the security of Kenya and the security of Uganda. Today, two, another faction which has caused accelerating causes is the faction of Sharif Ahmed Sharif. Two factions, one agreed to come back, and the Sharif is my friend, personal friend. He agreed to relinquish power, to allow a new government to come in power. I want to laud him. I want to thank Sharif Ahmed Sharif, a very good man, a very good man. But there is another stupid man, a doctor, who advises Farimajo Cheese, Mr. Cheese Farimajo, about what to do. This man is the owner of Al-Shabaab. This man is the one who goes to Asmara to meet Ifayas Efeki to bring uniforms that kill Somali people. This man is the one who goes to Saudi Arabia. And I'm telling you, we are going to capture him soon. Oh, we are going to capture him soon. Hey, we are. We have had enough on Somalia. I am going to phone President Museveni in the next 4 hours. I don't need a phone from the embassy. I have it here with me. Here. I'm going to phone him, and we want to capture this guy in Mogadishu. Ugandan troops are in Mogadishu. Our boys are in Mogadishu. We shall capture him. This bastard is the one confusing the entire system, confusing, giving advice, going to Afekayas, Fefaki, sending troops to Tigray to kill my Tigray people. Yes, we are going to take him to the ICC. Let him try to step Europe again. Mister, you are listening now from Villa, Somalia. Haki, you will spend the rest of your life. Your children and those many women you have married and left in Europe will come and see you in I swear. You are playing with Somalis. Somali want freedom. Somali also want to walk as people who have identity. Somali should not be discriminated. They have the best brains. When they came to London, they found me. I filled their forms. Some of them learned English. I showed them colleges. South Thames College, Croydon College, Newham College. They went to colleges. You think I have no stake about Somalia? Rubbish. Rubbish. Come also. Don't threaten people. You threaten by planting bombs. Why don't you come body to body language? Nyenye wajinga nyenye. Ugandan troops very soon will change tactic. I don't want to tell you what I want. What some of us, you think we support Museveni, we support His Excellency President Museveni entry into Somalia. I oppose him on so many things, but on Somalia, I am with this man before God. If he says, if God says we did wrong to go into Somalia, Your Excellency, President Museveni, let God punish us both. On that act alone, I support Uhuru Kenyatta and Mwai Kibaki for sending troops to Somalia. If God says we did a wrong mistake of going to Somalia, let it be. And I want intelligence systems officials to listen, not to run around that they are gathering information. What information are they gathering? They gather information, pick that guy. There is a guy in Villa, Somalia. He is always near. As we talk now, he is with Mohammed Farimajo. He's telling him, the guy told him, then after hearing what Muhammad Farimajo talks about me, he phones my London contact, he phones a London man, tells him that that big man is kafiri. I am a kafiri. Farimajo calls me a kafiri, a president of an African country, calling a simple man here a kafiri. That one has not left my heart, Mr. Farimajo. I look for you, and I look for that guy who always phones senior people in London to tell him that Matanga, I'm a kafiri. I'm a kafiri. Did you baptize me? Did you baptize me, you Farimajo? Did you? Well, you will soon end up. Do you know where you are entering? You are entering a very, very terrible murky waters. You will be in the court. Your wife in Minnesota might not see you. Point number 3. Those are the people giving advice. Islamic courts. So accelerating problem of Somalia are Islamic courts leadership. One leadership agreed to peace, one leadership agreed to war. The leadership that agreed to war has joined hands with Farimajo. And that is led by that man who is in the Farimajo's office. An MP who always gives Farimajo, who's tied to piracy. Onyari, you hear me today?
Thanks.
You hear me today? Are people outside there hearing? Don't collect the government money that you are doing this. What are you doing? That is the guy, pick him up. You will even find pirates who have benefited out of piracy money. That guy is the one. He's the head of Al-Shabaab. He's the one who brings uniforms. He goes to those places, buys through a Faki, Isaiah a Faki, another terrorist president whom you have left and you have returned him to us. He goes to kill people in Eritrea. In Eritrea, he kills them, then he now crosses over to Tigray to kill people. If I am speaking with authority, if you didn't know, your sanctions are on the way. When you get them, call me. I've seen the draft. I've seen the draft. Let's play them. Tawish, let's play them. We've seen the draft. A fires, a faki. Be prepared. You might even, you will collapse in Asmara. They are coming until you explain how you murdered people in Tigray. How Somali troops, 300 of them, ended up dying in the streets of Bekele. You are done. If you didn't know, it's coming. And with your money there this time, they are doing all this oil problem. Intelligence pick me. Hear me now. They are doing all these oil problems so that they start piracy. That's why you see their friends whom you feed here with milk. You give them honey. You give them our women. They enjoy everything here, including women, because they like us, using us like they cut. They cut us. Have you seen how they cut people in Libya? Onyari, why are you closing, going away? You listen to this, brother. You are pirate. They came, they caught black Africans, cut them to size, using machete. Didn't you see those images? Yet we are all Africans. The people supporting Farimajo, some are based in Nairobi. The government knows them. Am I wrong, Onyari?
You are right, sir.
They are here. They are enjoying your good hotels.
That was my
Among them, some of them will come to kill us. They are here. So when going, now you have picked those points. Because the panel, I want the panel, next time when you discuss this, develop those points. Accelerating problems.
Right.
Islamic courts, former government of Islamic courts. One faction agreed to peace, another faction agreed to war. The faction that agreed to war is working with Farimajo. The chief of intelligence of Somalia is an employee of the Qataris intelligence with the Qataris passport and the Kenyan passport. I don't know where the authorities have cancelled it. Let's go ahead. This guy goes on bragging, lakini wewe takukuta. Usindio unajua Kiswahili, wacha tukutane. One of these days we shall bump into Doha. You and me. Tutafuatana wewe. Our Jamaicans will deal with you. That's what we want now. Umundu humundu. Nyenye, you come to kill people. And the boss around walking with suits, carrying money to Kampala, banking it, coming here to your men. They open banks, and people are dying. Nobody's telling people. Nobody. People are quiet. When you hear that, they want to lie down. Kenya is in Somalia, officially. Uganda is in Somalia, officially. You want to tell me I should not talk about my brothers who are losing their people? I have relatives in Somalia. I have boys whom I rescued to join Uganda People's Defensive Forces who are in Somalia. I brought them myself. Did you bring them? I handed them to you, to Museveni and the UPDF and the peace agreement. They are there. The former commander who was commanding Uganda People's Defense Forces, where was he? Look at him. Look at the height, the handsomeness. He was teaching you a lesson. He was trained by boys like us. Like us. Angalia. Wewe. Nacheza cheza. You remember Lokech? will catch. He will soon come back. Tena nyenye wengine mtakimbia Indian Ocean. Those are the type, the caliber of the guy talking. Those are our sons. We dare. So if you kill them, that is it. Today is my day from morning to tell people the truth. Because I had a vision. You touch Uhuru, I touch Ruto. You insult Uhuru, I insult. In fact, now I've got more dossiers this side. It release Kamoja every 2 weeks. Kamoja, campaign intestines. Intestines, the heart. Na nywele zitoke. Yes, touch Uhuru. That we have blockers ya Ruto. Judge, katu Kamoja peke yake utawish. Don't you see them running and screaming? Matanga foreigner, Matanga this, Matanga big stomach. They have nothing to answer me. Today I've changed the Opio Gordon. Didn't you see what Opio wrote? I've changed him. They have nobody to write. They don't even know English. They write rubbish. Some of them have not even stepped in grade 1. Nyenye. We are following the footsteps. When I speak, the world hears. Didn't I tell you that some Sudanese have, Miriam, for your good relaxation, relax on South Sudan. I am on it. You will be happy. Commander number 1, have you heard the breaking news from Kampala? They have started killing each other, the Sudanese. One general, senior general, kutoka kwa hiyo group, amekufa. Na passport walipata zile. Wamekufa, wako hapo. Have you heard the news coming from there? It's on the headline of the New Vision. Jeff, bring it out. So that the people should not think we are talking lies. Hiyo National Salvation Front itakufa. Mnaua watu huko. Tunajua. Wako linked na mtu mmoja hapa Kenya. Tunajua. Pole pole. Another point. United Nations Security Council, African Union. What is their aim on Somalia? What do they want to achieve? Miriam, hold the fire and hold the pot as I come. I'm bringing something to show you.
Okay, I guess we'll just wait for Doc to come back with that information.
Got it now.
Okay.
These bastards. We have suffered. The people of Somalia are suffering. The United Nations Security Council, bring out that letter. What did I write? When did I write? Onyari, you should be, you're a professor, but be my student. Because I am like your doctor. You are my surgeon. There's a difference between the surgeon and the doctor. Between a doctor, a lawyer, and an advocate. A barrister and an advocate. A doctor does the donkey work of the professor. I am the PA to the professor. So when I write, you pick my documents. And the professor of this subject, you talk about them later. What did you hear my letter I wrote to the Security Council? I was going to look for you to show you the acknowledgement. And you think I'm a small fellow walking on the streets of Nairobi whom you can point fingers. Nyenye, nyenye, nyenye. Mujui. Nyenye. Mnanijua kweli? I was Somali. Mnani point fingers or big stomach or this foreigner. Hey, you, do you really know me? Mchunge hiyo. I could have decided to sit at home and enjoy my pension. Yes, but I'm suffering for Africa. I'm insulted for Africa. I'm belittled, prostituted for Africa. My name is prostituted for Africa. Besmirched for Africa. Because I speak. In Britain, I speak. There's no conference I go in Britain where I'm shy. Yes. And what I've spoken has never gone wrong. Stephen, look for that letter to the United Nations Security Council. It is on Pan-African Forum. I wrote it recently to tell the United Nations Security Council, to tell the Secretary General to abandon, to tell the ICJ to close, to suspend, to defer the best language, English, deferral of the ICJ case. If, and I want to repeat here, anybody in intelligence, whatever you call it, wherever you are, in any of this Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Kenya and Somalia, go to the United Nations, tell the Secretary General, let's return and do quiet negotiations about the territory in Indian Ocean. If, and I want to state this, because September is not very far, if that court makes a ruling in the Indian Ocean case, the panel, I want to tell you, there will be a fight, a big war in the Indian Ocean. If I'm wrong, come and take one of my degrees and I give it to Farimajo for free. Because he went there to be a carer, carrying Wazungus, carrying Wazungus. I did not go to Britain to care for Wazungu. I went to Britain in a suffering. I decided to go to school. I am an inspiration to hundreds and millions of refugees. As a refugee, just as King, the Queen's husband, just as Borison came as an immigrant, just as other people who have come as immigrants in Britain, the one thing that they did was to go to school. I went to school. I did not go to school in New York. I did not buy my papers on the streets of New York, which can be sold anywhere in Minneapolis. I got mine from where civilization started, Miriam. That's all what I got from Her Majesty's government. I want to thank them for giving me the opportunity, not a scholarship from George Soros, not a scholarship from Open Society Foundation, but from the taxpayer of the British government. I was able to be educated in their universities, and I gathered this information to come and help. I did not know I would one day be in television station, but I went to study the subject that helps Africa. Therefore, if you look at that letter, I don't know whether Stephen has got it. I was waiting for it to come. The one recently that I last one wrote, if Kenya does not follow that route and place this entire matter to the United Nations Security Council and wash its hands, and they say we have no border disputes, even if you have not done geography, you cannot say you turn the border this way. The border is straight. Even if you have not gone to school, you can't say demarcation of a border goes down instead of going across. Then if it goes down, where will the world be? Namibia will be in West Africa, in Gambia. And the Gambia will be in Europe, in Spain, isn't it? Gambia will be claiming part of the Spanish territory, Garanja. Where would we be? Then a country advised by people who want oil. Professor Onyari raised one point. The 4 countries that have destabilized Africa are the following. And I don't know why the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kenya does not summon these countries to ask their security attaches to tell us why is it that they fund the Somali government and then they enjoy our tea in Kenya. Why? Turkey. You have seen what Turkey has done in Libya. I saw Ambassador Maina Keina here, the brother of somebody. That one there, when he saw me coming, he ran away. But I will catch up with him. I know where he is. Maina, someone in the African Union looked that way when a plan was being done to execute Idris Deby. Medium, take charge there.
Okay. All right. So maybe as we conclude, so whatever is happening there in Somalia, I will just get back to the topic here earlier where we have been looking at Somalia is history repeating itself 30 years later, because yesterday a gunfire erupted in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu, between security forces loyal to government and others angry at the country's leader, as tensions spiked over President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed's extended stay in power. With this developments there in Mogadishu, Douglas, will it not complicate the war against Al-Shabaab? Because at this point, we don't even know who is fighting who there, but we're being told that security forces there disagreed and are now taking sides. Douglas?
Thank you so much, Miriam, for that question. What we are experiencing in Somalia today is very traumatizing, bearing in mind that even in his own government, even in his own cabinet, Mohamed Farmajo continues hounding and also hiding Al-Shabaab leaders in that cabinet. But when you look at it, when now people have started fighting Mohamed Farmajo for the extension of this 2-year term, the Al-Shabaab are going to have a few days. And this is what we have been preventing even in the region. We are going to have a revitalized Al-Shabaab because the security forces in Somalia are capitalizing on helping Farmajo and others deposing Farmajo from power. So we are going to have a tilt of priorities in terms of security and in terms of what is going to happen in terms of the security apparatus trying to save the situation in Somalia, and some continuing to hold Farmajo into power. And these two scenarios, Miriam, when you look at them critically, are going to present a very worse scenario as far as counterterrorism war is concerned. When people around the world are praying for Somalia to pacify peace and also leave their own country so that they can be able to rebuild their country, there are people in Somalia who continue helping Mohamed Farmajo stay in power, and the others who want to depose him. When you see these two opposing camps, the Al-Shabaab are going to have a field day in Somalia and even in the region, Miriam. We are going to experience more of Al-Shabaab insurgency and some more extremist activities around. But we are praying so that Farmajo will be disposed very fast, so that we can now be able to defeat Al-Shabaab, our counterterrorism activities will bear fruits. And I'm calling out the international community, Americas, and also the Raja Europe, to come together and help pacify Somalia. Because if Somalia is not safe, the Horn of Africa is not safe, East Africa is not safe, and also the world is not safe. Because Miriam, one terrorism problem is our problem as the people of goodwill and also the people of the world. When you look at Somalia today, they continue posing more threats to their own country and also their neighbors when they continue having these two functions bidding for Mohamed Farmajo and others opposing him. So Miriam, for all counterterrorism activities and every measure that has been able to be rolled out to contain Al-Shabaab is not going to bear more fruits or much fruits if they continue having the cat and mouse games that are happening in Mogadishu today. The only way for us to be able to move forward, for us to be able to pacify Somalia, for us to help Somalia Ori, because for over that years now, the Republic of Kenya, Transparency International has said has sacrificed more, including human lives, to help pacify Somalia, to help the people of Somalia get forward. So for us to be able to pacify Somalia, for us to be able to take Somalia forward, for us to help Somalia, we cannot abandon Somalia right now. We need to be able to pacify Somalia. We need to take Mohamed Farmajo out, arrest the Al-Shabaab people who are working for the Al-Shabaab people who are working for the Al-Shabaab groups working from Vira Somalia and also in Farmajo's government. If we don't do that, Miriam, we are going to have a lot of problems in the region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Douglas, I hear you. You're saying we have to help and keep helping Somalia, and I agree because, you know, when Somalia is in problem, all of us are in problem in this region, because if one country is suffering, like in the case of the insecurity and the war there in South Sudan, we see a lot of Sudanese are here in Kenya, Uganda, and across the world. So we get to shoulder this burden and the results of this instability in this country. So we are affected. And for those who wonder why we keep talking, that is why. So African Union's Peace and Security Council made the announcement yesterday, of course, condemning the extension of President Farmajo's term. They made the announcement on Thursday. I apologize. But they also agreed to help mediate to resolve the problem there, the crisis in Somalia. And you wonder, will African Union be able to clean up this mess when Somalia is not seeming to be cooperating, in the sense that a lot of these things, I think they're self-inflicted there in Somalia. And Dr. Nyanchama, if you could advise President Farmajo right now, what would you tell him in terms of cooperation, in terms of putting the interests of the country first, and just finding a genuine, lasting solution there in the country? What would you tell him?
Thank you, Miriam, and my fellow panelists, Samuel, Professor, and others. It's my pleasure once again. You know, Miriam, first of all, let's look at Somalia since 1991. In fact, it is a nation that has refused to grow. You know, the growth path of any nation, it's like that of a person, from childhood to adolescent to adulthood. What is interesting about Somalia, it never even reached that adolescent stage. It became retarded. What happens if you find that your child has reached a stage where even mentally is not growing? What happens to that? You find a diagnosis from the doctor to see how to treat the problem. The problem in Somalia, as Dr. Masanga said, is a misdiagnosis. You know, Miriam, if somebody diagnoses that you are suffering from malaria, only to discover you were suffering from cancer, you know that doctor has jeopardized your very life. And this is actually the problem in Somalia. Allow me, Miriam, that any nation must begin to grow from childhood. It must begin to put the cohesive factors together. That is from cohesion to coherent. In fact, countries which are easily destabilized by divisions within, they are classified as being uncohesive. And in this case, Somalia is one of them. Leave alone being coherent. Coherence happens when now the political units, guided by the constitution, work together to develop Somalia as a sovereign state. None of those two factors are existing in Somalia. Now that they are not existing, Varimajo is not existing on any legitimate path. Therefore, when African Council, the Security Council, passed a resolution that they should not extend the time of legitimacy of Varimajo, I think I support them. Because this child needs to be treated. You know, Varimajo is like a parent who has left his children scattered all over. Look at Kenya. How many refugees do we have from Somalia? What happens for any state if the parent has become irresponsible? Miriam, what happens? That is the question African leaders need to ask. The parents have decided to become irresponsible. The parent in this context being led by Varimajo. He needs to be sanctioned. Children are all over in the street. In quote, they are here in Kenya. And then you call him a responsible parent? No, he needs to be brought to order. For me, my suggestion is that Varimajo, that is why I am supporting Grim. It's Grim there. This man has become irresponsible. As much as he comes to the negotiating table, something needs to be done because Kenya is threatened by the security situation in Somalia. And it needs not to sit breathe here when the future is not guaranteed in terms of security situation. I think Kenya and other surrounding nations need to play a critical role to ensure that Somalia is brought to order. They need to move to any extent. I usually emphasize in this forum, a maxim even lawyers know, called populi sublime lex. That Miriam, if I destroy your house to save a life on the other side of your house, you can never take me to court. They will invoke the maxim of populi sublime lex, that there is nothing, no raw power can be protected if the life is threatened. Let those leaders listening to me. You can even invade Somalia right under the populi maxim that the behavior of the leaders are threatening the life of the citizens of the region, and seek support from the UN Security Council and temporarily take over the home, bring back the children. And then when the home is in order, then you may decide now, after rehabilitating the parent, now you can tell them, now take over. There is that provision. Because we have been talking, you know, in this forum, by the way, as Professor Nyali said, to anyone listen. The solution are there, like Samuel, they have been analyzing. Let's go back to the clip. Miriam, my take is this. Somalia is a threat to the region in terms of security. And all the nations plus the Security Council, AU, they need to move in and bring order. I submit, Miriam.
Okay. Thank you. That is Dr. Joseph Nyanchama there suggesting quite drastic measures to the extent of the United Nations Security Council to just come in and take over Somalia. But Somalia is watching here this afternoon. We'll tell you we are a sovereign country. were very powerful than Kenya many years back. I see someone here also quoted how their currency was much better and stronger than ours.
Yeah,
but
that is okay.
We have
Miriam, I'm back.
Yes,
I'm back on them again. Let me finish with them.
Can I just... Okay, go ahead.
Yes, finish.
No, go ahead.
Miriam, I fully 100% support Dr. Nachama. Joseph, let's surrender this state in the hands of UN. Put a hybrid tribunal. You know, one of the deterrents against international law, and that makes you fear international law, is a tribunal. Let the International Community Security Council direct Madame Fatou Bensouda or Karim Khan to constitute an international tribunal to investigate the crimes so that we get that man who is in the office of Farimajo, who travels between Farimajo and Eritrea. And we've co-offenders who are in Kenya, whom we can name and point fingers at, who are always conniving with bringing uniforms that kill Somalia. That's a war crime. I support it fully. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Jevan Karanja, go ahead. Jevan, Samuel Tawish, as you make your final submissions there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Very much, Miriam,
and of course the rest of the panelists for the contribution you made this
the network is not well.
There are two people talking.
Jevan, you have to wait. Samuel, go ahead. Tawish, go ahead.
Okay.
Jevan, you'll come later, yeah. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Miriam, and the panelists for that contribution. Sorry for that. I think there's some mishaps there. But again, Miriam, I think the rest of the panels have indeed alluded to the fact that we all acknowledge the fact that the problem for Somalia begins and ends with President Farmajo. And I think in trying to find a solution in stabilizing Somalia or finding a solution to the fiasco that Somalia is currently going through, then we have to find a way out on how we can deal with President Farmajo, because the biggest issue here is about him. Because again, when you are in a position of policy, when you're in a position of leadership, when you're in a position of making decisions for a country and you're behaving in a manner like what we are seeing with President Farmajo, then it begs the question, what is it that we can do as a region in as far as stabilizing the situation in Somalia is concerned? Professor Nyari did mention, and the rest of the speakers did mention, that President Farmajo appears not to heed any calls, appears to not heed any advice from the regional organs, be it the IGAD, be it the EAC, be it the African Union. He will not listen to all of these organizations. So the best way forward is that now that maybe Somalia feels, and in this case, Farmajo feels that maybe he has outgrown these institutions, that Somalia has outgrown the entire region, it is only incumbent upon us to allow the intervention of the United Nations Security Council so that sense can finally prevail in the head of President Farmajo. Because we cannot just sit pretty and continue to watch him as he continues to plunge that country into uncharted waters, as he continues to bring about political uncertainty and the turbulence that we are witnessing in that country, which in effect is going to have a ripple effect in the entire region of the East African, maybe African region, Miriam. So what I want to submit is that let us allow and permit the UN Security Council to intervene on this situation in Somalia, so that maybe we can have even an election after all, because Farmajo wants to continue being in office so that he can manipulate the people of Somalia, so that we can continue witnessing the kind of instability and the fights. He's bolstering the Al-Shabaab in Somalia because of the current situation that we are having. Look at the current war and invasion that has happened in Mogadishu. Is that something that we want to witness for this young nation? We want the people of Somalia also to have a place to call home. There are those people who ran away because of the instability, because of the lack of peace. So how long are we going to allow Somalia to continue being in that particular situation just because of one person in the name of Farmajo? I think it is time that now we have to stretch our hands a little bit far and invite the UN Security Council to have an intervention, one which must have far-reaching consequences on President Farmajo himself and all other things that have stagnated because of his deliberate moves. For example, his continued stay in power, much as is even illegal. Is it something that is actually for the benefit of the people of Somalia? Not. All of us really agree that this is all about to serve the interests of Farmajo and maybe his cronies, and largely is to continue causing mayhem and confusion to the entire region. And that is something that we all must call out and not permit to proceed. Miriam, I submit.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, Javan, while Dr. Joseph Nyanchama was giving his submission there earlier, he said that Somalia has refused to grow, and no disrespect intended for the people and the country of Somalia here. He was alluding to the fact that perhaps it's suffering from arrested development there. Is this not posing now a challenge to the rest of the region? Should this be the case? And if you had an opportunity to advise President Mohamed Farmajo, what would you tell him?
Thank you very much, Miriam. The advice that I could give to Farmajo is that he needs to know that his time has come to an end. He should not outlive his time and tenure of office. What he needs to go is to pack and go, and he needs to understand that Somalia will thrive with or without him in place. Because when he had the opportunity, when he had the powers, Miriam, he portrayed himself as a man who was not willing to ensure that the country of Somalia stabilizes, because this confusion, this kind of political and instability that we have in Somalia is a good breeding ground for corruption, for terrorism, and for other kind of extremists that benefit the government of Farmajo and his cronies. Therefore, the best Farmajo can do is to relinquish power and vacate office, and an election to be held, to be put in place, so that the people of Somalia can have their way, so that they can have a president, they can have a legitimate government in place, a government that reflects to the need of the people. Because the government under Farmajo is not reflecting to the needs of ordinary citizens in Somalia, but it's a government that is there to enrich Farmajo himself, to enrich his cronies through corruption, through oil deals with Turkey and Qatar. That is why he is pushing so hard to ensure that the maritime dispute between Kenya is even taken to ICJ, because they want to gain from the rich oil resources that we have in these in our borderline. Therefore, at the end of the day, this is a country that will take shape only when Farmajo is not in office. He needs also to allow the electoral systems to be put in place, so that an election can be put in place under the people of Somalia to have a direction and to go to their destination. On the issue of development, Miriam, a country will not develop, will not have political stability when the infrastructural are not put in place, when the infrastructural sector is not growing, when the economic policies, the right economic policies are not put in place to ensure that the youths have a job, there are industries running, there are people generating income in the nation, the issue of insecurity is dealt with. Those are some of the fundamental issues that the government and the people who are concerned, like the African Union, the UN, they need to ensure that they put in mechanisms that will eliminate poverty, that will eliminate insecurity in Somalia, so that the people, the ordinary citizen, can start growing, can start having a say. Because when you are poor, Miriam, even you don't have a say, you can't say anything and people listen to you. Therefore, these citizens need to be empowered, so that they can see the need to have a stabilized country, to have a country that is rolling in the right direction, a country that is pacified, a country that everybody is in cohesion everybody is integrated. That is the Somali that we want as Kenyans, because a sick Somali will eventually spread the chronic illness to other parts of this Africa, and we don't want that. Therefore, it is high time all necessary bodies, everybody who cares for Somali, to come on board to ensure that all is well in Somali, and the AU this time should act. You know, we are used to AU that only shouts. They don't ensure that action is taken. We need AU to act and to ensure that as action, this time they need to walk the talk. They don't need just to issue statements and they leave. They need to come and ensure that some of these things are implemented. They have the capability. What they lack is a goodwill to ensure that all these things rolls. Therefore, AU, they have been sleeping on the job, but this is a very ripe opportunity for them to prove that they can do better for Africa and for Somali and for other Africa countries that have these problems. AU needs to wake up and do their job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're banking your hopes on the AU. I'm not quite sure, but we'll just wait and see, because now it has offered to mediate this crisis, because Somalia went to the African Union anyway. So I think African Union responded there. Professor Chere Dunyari, I think a lot of you are in the panel and in agreement that perhaps Farmajo should leave as part of the solution of what is ailing Somalia today. Before Farmajo was the president, we still had another transitional government, and the insecurity and the crisis and what was still there in Somalia. Now under Farmajo, it has intensified, and perhaps after him, if another leader comes, you're not sure if that will guarantee the stability and peace there in Somalia. Therefore, are we trying to just look at the symptoms with Farmajo? Is one of those, or are we failing to address the fundamental issues there that are actually ailing Somalia, the root causes?
Yeah, Miriam, thank you for that good question, and Dr. Masanga really addressed that question. There are some other matching issues, causes, which have come out of the underlying core issues which were there. And when it becomes like that now, Miriam, it becomes very complex. Be it as it may, Miriam, I don't know whether I've used this analogy before, but I hope I've used it about an old man, the grandfather, and the grandson. The grandson was a wise man, but the grandson wanted to test the father and see with the grandfather and see whether he was wise. He took a butterfly, put in the finger, the hand, and then he said, what I have in my hand, is it alive or dead? He had an intention of saying, if it is alive, he squeezes and it dies. If he says it is dead, he leaves it and it fries Miriam. Miriam, the old man had to say that it is you who knows what you have in your hands, whether it is alive or dead. Miriam, I don't want us to be professional mourners. I hate to be one. Time has come for the people of Somalia. And Dr. Masanga said they are very brilliant people. They are all over the world. Serious investors. Where can they go and invest back in their home, Miriam? There are some people, Miriam, who are benefiting out of this conflict. And they want this status, Miriam. The sooner, Miriam, we cannot keep on talking about 30 years that we are talking, we want peace, we want peace, we want peace, we want this. It is high time, Miriam, now the people of Somalia, Miriam. Do we have peace in Somaliland? Yes, it is a stable region. Do we have peace in Puntland? Yes. Do we have the same place? We don't have. So, Miriam, I'm giving a recommendation, Miriam. When the Soviet Union, Miriam, will not stand, it had to break away. We have got several states in the Soviet Union. We have got Russia, which still remains a superpower, and many countries, Miriam, which had to go through a conflict, but eventually we are trying to set a semblance of peace. So the future of Somalia, Miriam, Somaliland must be given an opportunity, Miriam, to decide on their self-determination. And this is where United Nations has to come in. Puntland at the end of it, that time has come for us to divide that country, so that we can be able to know which region is giving us problem, Miriam. We cannot keep on talking about, Dr. Masanga said, Miriam, The Kenyan soldiers at the Kisimayu, Miriam, there is peace and stability. They are treating people, Miriam. The people of Somalia, they are happy. They don't want Kenyans to come out of there. They are giving them food, they are doing this. So, Miriam, there are some people like now, even what is happening in Mogadishu, my high thinking is, Barimacho must be even behind it. So that he tried to cause confusion in the world, that there is no stability. And Miriam, I have been shocked to say that the Somali federal government said that it will stick to the decision of the country's parliament, that they are happy. And we stop interfering, Miriam. When I'm telling you that, Miriam, there are some people who are gaining out of this conflict, Miriam. I mean it. We can give facts, Miriam. How do you just sit, Miriam, a club of you individuals, and then you extend directions where people are going to decide? Miriam, one of the good fundamentals of democracy is good governance, Miriam, where people elect their leaders, Miriam. Why should you fear for people to come and say that it is Dr. Masanga who wants to be their leader? So, Miriam, my future, and that's a conversation which is here on, and if we are going to be here for some time, Miriam, you are going to see this. 30 years, if people cannot organize their country, time has come for now, Miriam, IGAD, East African Community, the African Union you are talking about, which I don't know whether it exists, Miriam, the United Nations Security Council, let us divide that country. Let us have a debate and see how the Somali themselves are going to react. Whether they want the Raja Somali, which is giving them chaos, or we want to have autonomous, independent regions, Miriam, so that we can be able to manage. And I submit that is the way to go.
Okay, thank you so much. Doctor, conclude for us, yes.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll wait until you call me.
No, I'm saying you conclude for us. We are done.
So that I don't
we are done.
Manners of the table.
No, we are done. So you just conclude the show for us.
When there is a jigger, you don't cut the leg. You remove the leg at the jigger. You remove the jigger. There is a jigger in Somalia. Don't remove the entire head or the leg. Remove the jigger. The problem of the West intervention in Africa is that they go for the nation. You should go. If the French had a problem with Mr. Gaddafi, they should not have bombed Tripoli or Benghazi or Seta and created a desert that later on created General Khalifa Haftar, supported by General Assisi, to come and kill Idris Deby. Woohoo! You see, the national fury, conspiracy. So we have a jigger in Somalia now. You have seen it producing white eggs. Let's go for it. Either we tell it, get out. You have been put on sanction, not traveling to any aeroplane carrying you. We shall embargo it. Do an election in Somalia. Then come out as a winner. Lead your people. Farimajo has got a stubborn head like his uncle, General Siad Barre. He was a good Pan-Africanist, but he changed strategy. It destroyed 30 years ago, destroyed Somalia. Farimajo is repeating history. He's changing the course. He thinks by trying to play with Somali nationalism, which is a Mogadishu nationalism. The rest of the regions, is Puntland not okay? Is Jubaland not okay?
Yes.
He's playing with the stupid nationalism, which is always overthrowing governments around Mogadishu, with the help of one dirty man who is in Villa Somalia, whom I've already now sent the name to the security agencies of both countries that are in Somalia. I'm going to ring President Museveni in the afternoon and find out where he is. Because he gave me 80 numbers, they are working. 3 of them are still working. I'm going to tell him, Mr. President, on the question of your entry in Somalia, I love you. On the question of other things, we disagree. But I want you to take away one man. He is in via Somalia, giving advice. And if he is traveling to Kampala, he knows himself now. He must be going to the toilet as I speak now. So, where do we go from here, Miriam? Where do we go from here? Onyali has tried to come to bring an analogy of an old man with an old his son. I agree. That is the best analogy. But let me add on Professor Onyali. Let me add something. The people who killed Malcolm X were not white. The people who killed Martin Luther King were not white. Does the panel agree with me?
It's true.
Yeah. People who have killed Africa are we Africans ourselves. Can somebody explain it to me why the Uganda and the Rwanda border is closed? And we have people wearing suits running this capital. I'm going for meeting here, meeting what? 2 years. Can somebody explain to me what is happening in Congo, which is not happening in Somalia? Are we dividing Congo? The whites left. The blacks have divided Congo now. Isn't it? Are we not preparing for another shutdown? Can somebody tell me why South Sudan is not stable? Why there is a new rebel organization in Eastern Equatoria, blowing up houses, cutting people's legs? Who supports the army? Can somebody tell me why Ethiopian troops, not why Somali troops were found dead in Tigray and some are in prisons, captured, being shown to the UN Security Council representatives? How did they reach there? Can somebody tell me why African heads of state cannot call it a spade to a spade and tell Mr. Isaias Afaki that you are a terrorist? Yeah, the panel is quiet, isn't it? You are thinking. Can somebody? Because these are, I told you, I started by saying Malcolm X died because a black man plotted to kill Malcolm X and was paid money. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Conspiracy came from where? It is we black people, the black Africans, the Africans ourselves, who have killed Africa. Because we don't tell our brothers the truth, like I do. The worst thing that you want to do, if you want to live shorter, come to Africa and tell the truth. They will finish you. Me at my age, I'm ready to go. Tawish, Onyali, Miriam, Javan, Joseph, Kirimi, take the revolution ahead. Oh, ye, stick by the truth, write the truth. Even if you are hated and called names, always toil the truth. How can a country without a toilet insult a country which has several toilets? We went to help Somalia. Somalia did not come to help us. They were helpless. How can they insult people who have helped them? Their children have grown in schools in Kenya and Uganda. If you go to Uganda, the biggest community that is even doing the biggest business, running Uganda's economy, are Somalis. We live with them. We have married some of their women, their daughters, their sons have also married Ugandans. We are together. Why can't we use the same spirit to negotiate these problems that is killing? That is killing people. That is bringing a chaos. You know, if you solve the maritime dispute, isn't it the one that has brought the bad blood between? Are you people forgetting the problem? One of the accelerating root cause of this current conflict, standoff, is the maritime dispute in the Indian Ocean.
Sure.
Onyali, if you gave him to finish that conflict, we should sit for up to 5 days. And we call President Sparamajo and I call President Uhuru, that now, since you don't agree and we don't agree, let's now bring investors jointly. And we drink the fuel, isn't it? Is it the oil they want?
Yeah.
What about if a tsunami one day came and destroyed that oil? Are you the one who put it there? You can develop the oil industry together. You can oil industry together if you want. Why are you killing us when we help you? Did we do wrong in the name of God to come to help you? You people who are criticizing, we can share that oil without even fighting. After all, we don't know where it is. We are looking in the sea, but a tsunami could blow the sea and the oil runs to India. Am I wrong? Are you God?
You're right. You are right, Dr. Masanga.
Are you God?
What does it cost a man? What does it benefit a man? He loses his soul and he loses the entire world.
Let's sit down as Africans. Let's engage each other. Let's use the institution of AU. Let's see the constitutional arrangement of the African Union that said the 1884 Nyali, the 1884 Javan Karanja, the 1884 Olesisana, the 1884 Joseph, Jared, Miriam. No touching the borders, no discussing the borders outside the African constitutive arrangements. We made the charter, Siad Barre signed the charter, successive government signed the charter, one satellite state president, the mouthpiece of neocolonialism, from Minnesota in the United States of America. One who holds the United States of America passport number, I have now received it. Farmajo, you should be careful about me. I even read your briefcase. In fact, the US CIA gave it to me. You have not returned it. Return that passport. You are not a Somali. You are an American ruling Somalia. I now got the full passport. I am gonna display it on Thursday. You never canceled it. That's how dangerous I am. Have you seen? I can even read your bedroom, including the generator, the ventilator you stole from Mogadishu Hospital, and you have hidden it in one of the upper rooms. Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo! That Mr. President, what president? President Ghani, you call me kafiri. You call me kafiri, where? And also now ask amongst your people there, who told me you are kafiri? You called me kafiri. Ask them. You will find the terrorist Al-Shabaab, who is always eating with you every day mutton and rice. He also tells people what you do. He wants power. Today I've given you free advice. Where? Don't call me kafiri. Kafiri wewe mama yangu. Don't call me kafiri. I took a religion which is respected. You took yours which is respected. One day, I came across a Muslim girl who wanted me to change my name from David to Rashid. Tawisha, I told you the story. I said my father will roll 200 times. Not because Rashid is a bad name, but because I grew up being caned for wrong things. If I do wrong things, you are caned. If you don't wash your hands before you eat, you are caned, because they knew Corona one day will catch us. Are we not washing hands today? Tawishi in Masai Chirigoris, were you not being caned? If you go to the toilet and the latrine, instead of going in the hole, you go the other side. Were you not taken out and beaten? Don't laugh, tell the truth. You see, one thing that kills Africans, they have reached here, they are wearing ties. They said they never did these things. Me, these things I did. And I was being caned every day. Yes, they taught me these good manners. That's why at the age, which is, I am older than Mr. Mohammed Faki. I'm older than Mr. Mohammed Farmajo. When I started school, Farmajo was polishing my shoes, or shoes of his uncle. Yes. So give me respect. Have you eaten more granaries? Have you eaten more granaries than me? In Maasai land, how do you measure a man? Isn't it the granaries you have eaten? Was their age? If President Museveni cannot know when he was born, you think Matsanga can know when he was born? Thank you very much, Miriam. God bless you. God bless Africa. This station is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.
peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.